Hello, everyone. We meet again on our little project. There are some small changes that have been added, particularly the button that I changed and the little element over here so that it matches a bit better with our theme. But we have the same architecture as before, and there we already see that we have a little problem because we only have that on our app, but we still have a lot of elements that we see here. So that means if we need to do something bigger, it will be difficult to maintain because it will become very quickly unreadable. That's why we're going to make components. So the components are going to be small objects that we will be able to reuse several times. For example, the card is going to be a component, and we're going to do it right away. So I'm going to right-click here, component, and this component is going to be a card. And for this card, I'm just going to go to main and copy. So right click, copy my complete card. And I'm going to go back in there like that. And there I have my card that is already done. So I can go back to the main and delete my two cards that I created. And instead, I'll be able to put my component. I'm going to put it back up here. There I have a block. I'm going to click on my block, and I'm going to choose the card component. I'm going to copy another card that I'm going to put up here. But here we have a little problem. Our cards are identical. You can't customize them like that. So we're going to have to add properties. For example, to change the title. There we will have to do, and there we will have in progress. So to do this, we're going to go back to the card component, and we're going to create for example, the title property for title, which will be a string. Once I've created my title property, I'll be able to double click on my custom text. And what I'm going to do is open the brackets, and I'm going to create my variable. For example, title variable, to differentiate a little bit the two.
Once I've closed my brackets, I have a property field that is added to my inspector. So if I click on it, I have my title variable that appears. And this title variable, we're going to make sure it's equal to the title. So there, if I go to preview, I don't have any more titles. In fact, why? Because in fact, by default, my title is empty. But if I write, for example, to do, we see that the title is updated in real time. So if I go back to main, nothing has changed because then it displays to do and to do. Because by default, I didn't give it a title and it displays what's here. If I had written, for example, hello, I would have hello here. And in fact, what I can do is select this component, for example, and there I'll be able to add a property that's specific to this component. For example, I'm going to put to do. And here I'm going to click on it and I'm going to put in progress. Now that we've factorized all this, we're going to do the same to add a list. So for the moment, there's not a lot of things in it yet. But since we're going to add logic a little later, I prefer to do it right away. So I'm going to create a component, for example, create button. And in this component, I'm going to do exactly the same. That is to say, copy the block there and put it in there. And once it's done, I can delete this block and I can add it like this. And we're all good. In the next episode, we're going to try to see how we can make the map even more modular, because I think you've probably noticed that we didn't touch on these properties there, because in fact, it's going to be an object table. And so suddenly it's a little more complex to put in place than just a title. See you next time.